So we're working in chapter 3 now, and we need to fix this. I'm gonna be doing exercise 7 from let's see, from chapter 3. So let me fix this. There we go. Chapter 3, exercise 7, and it's in the book on page 184. In your C++ programming book. So number 7 reads like this. Interest on a credit card's unpaid balance is calculated using the average daily balance. Suppose that net balance is the balance shown in the bill. Payment is the payment made. D1 is the number of days in the billing cycle. And D2 is the number of days payment is made before the billing cycle. Then the average, and then they give the equation, which I'll write down. So then it goes on to say, if the interest rate per month is .0152, then the interest on the unpaid balance is, and then we have another equation. It says, write a program that accepts as input net balance, payment, D1 and D2, and interest rate per month, and then we're going to output the interest to format it to 2 decimal places. So we're going to be working on that problem. I thought that was a good problem because it gives us an opportunity to use the iomanip, which of course stands for the input-output manipulation library, and it gives us a chance to do some formatting, and that's really about it. We'll use set precision and show point and fixed, and that'll be it's a good little challenging one. I don't know if it's terribly challenging, but I think it's a good example, and it'll help you guys out with chapter 3 material. Okay. So you'll notice that I went ahead and I already did the commenting, and I already created the file, so that way we don't waste any time. For those of you that haven't been doing this, remember to use the using namespace std up in here, and then delete it from right here on line 14. I don't need this because we're gonna change all of this right here anyways. So there's gonna be a lot of different stuff here. I'm just going to do that now. Okay, so since we know we're gonna need the iomap, it's already said that, and the iomap is used for the formatting, which I will have gone over in the video on the lecture with the slides. So I'm not going to discuss it again, other than to say that we need it for our code. And there it is. So we just say that, and there we go. So now we're going to be using these two precompiled libraries, the ifstream and the iomanip. So this one here is, of course, so we can communicate with the console, and this one here is so that we can format our input-output. All right, so this is ready to go, and we already know some of our variables. So let's go ahead and declare our variables. We won't be initializing them yet, but we are going to declare them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we have our doubles: net balance, payment, D1, D2. I guess technically we could go ahead and just combine this. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now, since I think it makes more sense to do it this way. Yeah, there we go. So as we learned in our last class, since all of these are going to be of data type double, we can declare them in one line. So here we're declaring the data type double, and it's going to apply to each one of these variables. All right. And the variable names, I just took them directly from the book. In number 7, it actually tells us what to name the variables. So I think we're good. We might need a couple more. If I do, I'll add them as I code. Okay. So the very next thing we're going to need to do here is we need to format our outputs. And so again, this is taken from the slides. Really, really simple. We're going to go ahead and do our cout, and we're going to say fixed and show point. And well, I'll go ahead and do this, and I'll talk a little bit about. Okay, so what this line of code means is we're going to format the console output. So whatever is the console outputs is going to be formatted in this way. Fixed means the fixed decimal point. So we're going to have a fixed decimal point instead of a floating decimal point. So this is it's all the outputs will be fixed. We're going to show the point. This means that we're going to show the decimal point. So let's say that there was a whole number like 1. With the show point, we're going to have, it'll be 1, we'll show the actual decimal points. It'll be 1 decimal 0. Then this part here is where we set our precision. Set precision in C++ means that we're going to have 2 decimal places. So 2 decimal places to the right of the decimal. And that's what this means. So we're formatting it in this manner. Okay, so I need to enter some code that's going to request the user to enter some information. And so I'll do the first one, and then after that, then I'll do the rest quickly. So here we're going to do cout, and we're going to ask the user to enter something. So here we're going to enter net balance, I think. So and I always give a space here, so that way it'll come out nicely. We'll do a semicolon here, and then immediately we're going to want, because it's going to prompt the user to enter something. So now we need the user to actually enter something, and whatever they enter, we're going to assign that to net balance. And if you recall earlier in the last lecture, I spoke about self-documenting. In this manner, when we look at that variable net balance, we know exactly what it means. We don't have to wonder what that variable means. Okay, and then of course we can do the cout just so we can get a new line, and then end line so we can get to the next line. Okay, so I have to do the same thing for the other variables. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll be right back. But I did want to at least do one so that you could see it. So cout, we're going to request the user to enter the net balance. Then we're going to assign the net balance to the net balance that was declared up here to this variable. So it actually gets the value that they entered. And then we're going to continue to the next line. So I'm going to write the rest of these. All right, so at this point, I basically just copied this and then just changed the variable names. So we're requesting from the user D1, which is going to be the number of days of the billing cycle, D2, which is that, and then of course the interest rate. Now here the book, they used D1 and D2 for the days, and I don't know, I might have made it a little bit different. I might have called it days billing cycle. I might have actually just named it that and named this one days before billing cycle. I might have just named it like that, but this is fine. This is what they wanted us to do, so this is what we'll do. Let's see here. The only thing is I usually I'm going to rearrange these a little bit so that they follow the flow. So let's see. Do I want this way? Internet balance. Okay, let me think this through a little bit more if I want it this order. But one thing I will do here is I will go ahead and enter that this is user input. You don't need to do this. It's just kind of my habit. And then here I'm going to enter process. Now you could say right here, you could say calculations, but I usually just say process. You can be whatever you want. And then this is going to be where the calculations are made. And I'm going to go ahead and do the next one just so it's already done and I don't forget. And this is just going to be my output. And that's really about it. Let's see, return 0. Let's see, am I missing anything? The other thing that I like to do, even at this point, is I like to go ahead and run it just to make sure I don't have any syntax errors, I'm not missing anything, all the variables are being used, that type of stuff. So let's go ahead and run this. Now when I click on, you can hit F5. When I hit F5, I keep an eye on this message box down here in the blue where it says ready, because this is going to tell me what's happening. It's going to build it, it's going to compile it, it's going to tell me when it's done. And if there's any problems, it's going to tell me that here too. So keep an eye on this blue bar down here when I hit F5. So let's hit F5 and see what happens. So the build started, build succeeded, console comes up. It's not going to output anything. Well, I guess the first one comes up. So it's ready to do that. What that tells me is there's no syntax errors. Everything is done right up to this point. And I frequently, when I'm writing code, will frequently compile as I add a part just to make sure I don't have any errors, because it makes it easier to debug. For example, right now, I know up to this point everything is done properly. So as far as syntax goes. But if I had written the whole program and then I debugged, I'm not going to be sure exactly where things are. I mean, you can figure it out, but I think it's just easier to build things in blocks or in modules. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is I'm going to need to enter the calculations that they gave us. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so I went ahead and added these two variables, average daily balance and interest. And like I said, if you look on page 184, problem number 7, it gives you two formulas. One of them is for average daily balance and the other one is for interest. So I went ahead and decided to declare those and then use them. So in the process section, all I did was write the formula pretty much exactly right out of the book. I just copied it straight out of the book. So average daily balance is equal to that according to the book. And then the interest is according to, is equal to this according to the book. And what are we looking for? It says that we want to output the interest. Okay, so we output the interest. Done. It's pretty simple, really. Again, the only thing to really get out of this was, or what we want to get out of this was using the iomanip right here, and then also this line right here, using the fixed decimal point, using the show point in case, so that we always have a decimal, and then setting the precision to 2, so 2 decimal places to the right. And that's it. The rest of this you should already be aware of. You might want to take note of the format, the way that I do it. I have, of course, this information is the same as usual. And then it's broken up into user input, and then the process, or calculations, whatever you want to call it, and then output. Pretty simple, straightforward. Let's go ahead and run this. Should run. Okay, build succeeded. Let's see. Okay, so now it's ready. Okay, so enter the balance. We're going to go ahead and use 2,000, nice round number. We'll say 25 and an amount of 75. You could say 0, 0, whatever, doesn't really matter. Enter the number of days dependent for the billing cycle. We're going to say I don't know, 3. And I'm going to go ahead and use the number from the book for the interest rate. It said decimal 0.152. And then you should hit enter, and there we go. We have $30.26. Now we could clean this up. Or what was this interest rate? Yeah, so it's interest. Yeah, so we could clean this up and output this in dollars. So I mean, how would we do that? I think that'd be relatively simple. Let's go ahead and, now we haven't introduced strings yet, so for right now we're just going to do it this way, because what I would do if this was what do you call it? If we were using strings, is I would concatenate it, but we're not doing concatenation yet, so this will work. I believe this will work. Should work. Okay, and then let's go ahead and clean that up a little bit. We'll hit F5 again and redo this. See what happens here. We'll use the same numbers, 2025, and say. And there you go, $30.26. We're fine. Now, if you want to clean it up even more, we could do our usual. Gosh, I'm just terrible at it. And okay, and go do that. Hit 5 again. And let's do it one more time. I'll put this off to the side here. There you go. So I think that's about as clean as we can get it. I think that looks pretty clean. And that is it for this assignment. So again, I'll just scroll down nice and carefully. All right, so that's it for this assignment. I think I'll do one more. I'll look for something with the input-output assignment, see if there's something else in here. Okay, so to do an example of the file stream, the if file stream and off stream, if stream, off stream. So input file stream and output file stream is what it stands for. What I'm going to do, what I decided to do is, because when I looked at the assignments, almost all of these are the first 5, so stuff that you're assigned to do for your own homework, and I don't want to redo your homework. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to modify this existing one right here to use it for an example of the input-output stream. I'm sorry, I keep saying that. The in file and out file stream, and so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to modify this one to read in this information instead of the console asking a user. We're going to read it in from a text file, process it, and then output it back to a text file. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to create a new project and simply copy some of this stuff over so I don't have to retype it, and we'll see what happens. So I created a new project, and this one here, still based on exercise 7, but modified to show in file, out file. So instead of the user entering in information, we're going to read from a file. We're going to do the same calculations, and instead of going to the console, we're going to output to a text file. So that's going to be the differences. I left the code that I can reuse, and then we'll start working. So there's a couple of items we need to add. We're going to include the ifstream, which we need, and we're also going to include the what else is it called? Oh, we're going to be using the string library, so we need those precompiled. So we added these 2 items: the ifstream file stream, and that's so that we can read from the file and write to the file. And then we're going to be using our string library so that we can handle strings. Okay, so these are our headers. We're still going to use the manipulator, the iomanip, and that should work. I think we're good to start working now. So this is the skeleton. This is the template of what you need to do the modifications that we're going to do. Okay, so the next thing we're going to need to do, I would probably put it above our variables, is we're going to need the ifstream. So the input file stream is really what it is, and we're just going to use the usual generic in file. You could change it to whatever you want. Offstream, we need this one too, and of course this one's going to be to the out file, is what we're going to call it. And there we go. Now I will give that a little space just to show that they're a little bit different. And do I need anything else? I don't think so. All right, so I haven't created the files that that I'm going to open, so I'm going to go ahead and write the code for it. But then I have to go and create these files. So let's do this part next here. So in file, which is right here, it's going to what we're gonna have that do is we're going to call the open property, and we have to tell it where it's at. So this is going to be the directory of where it's located. Now I'm going to place this in the same directory as these other files, so I don't need to do anything fancy with the directory. But if it was like on your desktop, this is where you would want to put the directory string. So to keep things simple, I'm just going to keep it all in the same directory. Okay, and then out file, we're going to use the what do you call it? We're going to use the open property for it also. And of course, this is going to be the we're going to call this one out data, just in keeping with the nomenclature of the textbook. And I think, as I'm thinking through this, I think that's good. Do I need anything else? I think the next thing is to set precision of the out file. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit different for you. So here we're going to say out file, and we're going to go ahead and do the same line that we did before. We're going to say, let me just write it out now because I'm terrible at multitasking. All right, so what this line did is we're going to format our output. So when it writes to the text file, it's going to format it in the fixed decimal. We're going to show the decimal point, and we're going to set precision to 2, so 2 decimal places to the right of the decimal. So now this part's taken care of. I need to go and I need to create these text files though, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so we have our template ready to go. Again, I've added these items here. This part here is new. We're using the streams, and right here is new. We're going to open up the indata.txt and the outdata.txt. At the time I wrote the code, these didn't exist. I went ahead and created those, so I'm going to show you those now. Of course, it's formatted. Here's what we're going to read, and then the process is exactly the same as we did in the last example. And then here we're going to write to the file. So let's go ahead and take a look at our location for these items. All right, so here's the directory with the location where everything's at. And if you look at our extensions, this is where the .cpp file is and the solution file and all of that. Okay, so here's our two new files, the indata and the outdata. So the indata, it has our numbers, and I just used the exact same numbers we had before. So 2000, 25, 75, 3. It's going to read these in and apply them the way that I want them to. Okay, so so instead of the user entering them, this time it's reading them from this text file, the exact same numbers. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. And then the outdata file, it doesn't have anything. We haven't run it yet. Okay, so once it calculates information, it's going to send it here instead of the console. It's going to send it here. All right, so let's close that. So we have our two text files in the same directory. This makes it easier because then we don't have to tell it what directory it's in. We just say it's here. Okay, so I'm going to move this off to the side. And we're ready to start programming. Okay, so in the read, this is really, really simple. This isn't a big deal at all. So we'll just say in file. And what we're going to do here is we're going to add our variables. So the variables that were up here, instead of assigning them to the console intake, so console in, we're just simply going to read those numbers to the appropriate variables. So I'll go ahead and do that. And here's what that looks like. The inf file is going to read it's going to read from this list right here, and it's going to apply the first item to the net balance, the second item to the payment, and so forth, right to down the list. So we should get the exact same information that we did before. All right. So let's go ahead and close this. And now the next thing to do is we need to write the code to write to the file, which is also very, very simple. So I'll go ahead and write that. Okay, so now we have the write file. All we're saying is we're going to go to the out file, which is the outdata.txt, and we're going to write this string, interest, colon, $, and then we're going to concatenate to it. It's really, in this case, it's not actually concatenating, but it's going to look like that because it's going to put it on the same line. We're going to output the variable interest, which was calculated here. And then to the console, we're just going to print out done so that we know it's done. Return 0 because we're returning int. And that's it. That's what this whole piece of code looks like. So I'll scroll down so that you can take a look at it. All right, so let's hit F5 and see what happens. I'll go ahead and pull this over so we can get to our information quickly. Let's see what I did here. All right, so it came up right away, done. So we know it's been completed. Now let's go over to our text file and see what happened. So all we need to do is open up the out data, and there it is. Let me close this. So it output the interest $, right here, and then it added the interest, which was calculated And there you have it. So the exact same thing we did in the last example. The only difference is this time we're using the in file, out file, and instead of writing to the console, we're writing to the file, to the text file. So I hope you enjoyed that, and happy coding, because that's really it, and I think it's relatively simple.